Hi there, my name is Nefertiti Dukes, and I have the absolute pleasure of serving as the community manager here at Screencastify. Today, we have the opportunity to talk about something that is absolutely amazing. We are talking about ways to flip professional development. This is the revised link after some technical difficulties. We are at a brand new spot, but it's okay. We are all here together. So post on Twitter, post on Facebook, tell all of your colleagues to find us here where we're talking about flipping professional development in the ways in which we can be even better as an entire staff, and the ways in which we can learn together. So we're going to get started in just a few seconds, but in the meantime, make sure that everyone joins us here at the revised link. We are live. My name is Nefertiti, and I cannot wait to meet all of you. To get started, we wanted to talk a little bit about what PD currently looks like. I was an English teacher. I taught African American literature here in Chicago. If you did not know, Screencastify is located in Chicago. So if you are ever here, please make sure to give us a quick visit. We'd love to see you and even some of your students if you'd like to organize a field trip. Um, so when I was a teacher leaving professional development, there were one of two expressions that I had. The first one was feeling like the entirety of professional development could have been encompassed in a simple email. Send it to everybody, all staff, make sure that you BCC so that there are no reply all debacles, and then that would have been it. Or people read the entirety of the PowerPoint slide as if I was unable to read myself. So it felt like in either scenario, I actually wasn't learning very much from what was happening with professional development. And I wished and I wished and I wished for a way that we can make professional development more helpful and more fruitful for teachers so that I could actually be better for students. So a few months ago, when I started working at Screencastify, the wheels started to turn, and I knew immediately that this would be the best tool possible in order to make sure that professional development was better for teachers and better for students. But as you're watching, please put some comments over what is professional development currently like for you. I would love to hear how you guys are currently interacting with professional development and how we might be able to make it better here at Screencastify. So, in our estimation, there are a few things that make professional development absolutely awful. The first one is something that happens in our classrooms all the time. As we've changed our mode of thinking from thinking about teaching whole group or to everybody to instead thinking about teaching to each individual student, we need to know that we need to do better than teaching to the middle. Our science teachers learn differently than our math teachers learn different than our English teachers, and each of professional development needs to be different. And if it's not, unfortunately, it falls into this bucket of awful professional development. Also, we want a presentation that does not ignore sound pedagogical processes. We know as teachers what good teaching looks like. And if our professional development facilitators are unable to engage in sound teaching processes, then professional development is absolutely awful. And lastly, we don't want a presentation that's devoid of any attempt to implement what you have learned. At the end of this professional development session, this mini PD led by Screencastify, we promise you will be able to implement what we have taught you immediately. And if you go to a professional development session and you are unable to implement those things immediately, then something has gone wrong. There has been a massive problem, and we need to do better. So if that makes professional development awful, then the question is, what makes professional development actually beneficial? Something that we care about, something that we actually can do. And we're here to tell you that professional development that is high quality is actually possible. We've isolated four things that are important. The first thing is some time for collaboration. In other words, can teachers actually talk about what they've learned, how they can implement it in the classroom? Can they implement those ideas instantly? So, can they go in the next period, the next day, the next week, and actually do something with what they have learned? Do they have the support to implement educational technology? There are so many tools out on the market, and Screencastify is proud to be one of many tools in a toolbox. But if you don't have any support to actually implement the educational technology that you learn about, then that means that it's actually ineffective. And lastly, people need time. When you can implement new ideas or when you can learn about professional development is really different for everybody. And the fact that Screencastify offers an opportunity for people to learn at their own time, and as Tony said, another means of communication, then that's so, so important. The days of being able to communicate face to face where everybody can meet at the same time and everybody can be a part of the conversation at the exact same time are over. And that's over for our students as well. We found creative ways to communicate with them, whether that be video based instruction with things like Screencastify or Flipgrid, or with text messages with Remind. We have to do the same thing when we talk about professional development. And Melissa's right. It's not about what I say and not about what I do, but rather about teaching a myriad of different ways in which we can engage with professional development and having teachers pull out what's most effective for their classroom and being able to make that something that they can implement on a day to day basis. And we think that doing that through Screencastify is one of the easiest ways to make sure that professional development is communicated in different ways for different types of teachers and also allows teachers to pick out what they can implement in their classroom. Thanks, Melissa and Tony. So, how can Screencastify aid? What is it that you can do with Screencastify in order to make more high quality professional development? The answer is multifold. The first thing that's really, really important about implementing Screencastify when it comes to high quality professional development is that the mode is shifting more toward implementing more educational technology. It's a terrible PD when everybody is looking around and waiting for people to create accounts. So if you're introducing Flipgrid, if you're introducing Wakelet, or any other broad spectrum educational tool, sending teachers a Screencastify video, which allows them to create accounts to play around with the tool prior to professional development, actually allows them to be a lot better off and for them to have a starting point for the conversation. In other words, everybody's already played with the tool, and now the question is how can they implement the tool in their classroom? And that technical support and things of that nature has already occurred. So we are strictly focused on learning and becoming better as an entire staff. The other thing is it models an effective flipped, blended, or technology forward classroom. How many times have we all been in professional development in which somebody talks about implementing technology, but there's absolutely no technology present in the professional development? Our idea is that if you infuse technology from the get go, that actually allows more people to be a part of it and to be able to be a part of talking about educational technology and implementing it in their classroom. As Tony said, the ease of Screencastify is absolutely unparalleled. People can ignore an email, and people might not be able to understand an email. But when we have those things in a screencast that people can rewatch and talk about anytime that they want, it makes the professional development process a lot easier. But another means of flipping professional development with Screencastify is providing an opportunity for teachers to ask high quality questions. At the end of the day, teachers can't ask high quality questions if they have no idea what they're actually going to be learning about. How many times have we showed up to a professional development and we had no idea what the topic was even about? But with a Screencastify video that happens prior to professional development, teachers have a baseline understanding of what they're going to learn about, and they actually can do a little bit of research and ask high quality questions that push the entire colleagues forward. So, in that regard, we think that Screencastify is perfect for flipping professional development. We'd love to hear some more of your ideas in the comments as to how you might use Screencastify to push professional development. It's also so important to make learning actually personal with Screencastify. I've been to so many professional development sessions in which English teachers, science teachers, social studies teachers, and history teachers were all learning the exact same lesson. But Screencastify provides an opportunity to give 4 different lessons to 4 different topics, or an infinite amount of lessons to the infinite amount of teachers and teaching styles that you have in your classroom. So, what this might mean is that if the professional development session is about using Edpuzzle to allow for student comprehension, history teachers might get an entire presentation about using Screencastify to create historical representations, while science teachers might learn about using Screencastify in order to replicate science experiments. And our English teachers are learning about giving flipped feedback. But the only way that we can do that is by creating personalized videos that occur prior to the professional development session. When everybody's already in the professional development session, it's impossible to personalize it effectively because there's no way for us, a facilitator, to create 35 different videos that go to the 35 different teaching styles or subjects or unit plans that teachers are in. As Melissa said, nobody talks about getting ready for professional development. We talk about it as something that's done to you, something that's in the moment. But just as we prefer for our students to be ready for the lesson ahead, wouldn't we prefer for our teachers to be ready for professional development prior to it happening for them? But more often than that, even when we talk about optional professional development, creating a commercial or something of that nature, which gives teachers an idea of what they might learn, helps to generate and drum up interest for professional development, rather than it being simply words on a page about what a teacher would actually like to do. And George, you're absolutely right. We want to allow more one-on-one time, just the same as a flipped classroom. If I'm a teacher that's completely new to flipping instruction and I have no one-on-one time with an instructor, what are the chances that I can actually implement this in my classroom the next day? The chances are really small. But with one-on-one time with my colleagues, with instructors, with administrators, I'm more likely to actually be able to implement what I learned the next day and be better for students. After professional development, the learning should not end. If you are modeling new technology or using it as a guide to guide instruction, or just hoping that teachers are going to implement something new in their classrooms, there needs to be some connecting after professional development in order to make sure that the message has actually gotten through. So we have a few ideas about how you can actually revisit professional development with Screencastify. The first is that Screencastify videos absolutely live forever. So if you have a new staff member who joins in the second semester, if you have someone who has forgotten information and would like to revisit that, they can always go back to these Screencastify videos instead of it being something that is static. When in traditional professional development, it happens on a specific day at a specific time. And if someone has missed that professional development session, they've also missed the learning. That's not true for a professional development session that is flipped using Screencastify. There's also the opportunity for new exit tickets. How do teachers plan to use this in their classroom? If these exit tickets are shared with the broader staff as a whole, it also creates an opportunity for collaboration, or even better, an opportunity for teachers to know what other teachers they like to go visit or observe. We know exactly how people are implementing things, so we know how to go and how to see how we can implement those same things in our classroom. And finally, there's also the opportunity for assessment. So whether that be through a quick Google form after watching a Screencastify video, whether that be through an Edpuzzle, or even a staff flip grid that offers the opportunity for people to interact. These are all opportunities to take video after professional development to the next level. So those are our quick ideas on how to flip professional development. Our first mini professional development series that will be coming out each month with Screencastify. Next month, Amy Mayer, who is the CEO of Fry Technology, is going to give an amazing webinar presentation on how to use Screencastify to create subplans. In the meantime, please allow us to continue the conversation over flipping PD with Screencastify using the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag flippingpdscreencastify. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your opportunities, and we'd love for you to send this out to your colleagues to have more information about flipping professional development later. And we'd love to hear how you actually go about doing this tomorrow, next week, or the next time that you engage in professional development. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us tonight. We can't wait to see you next month for a conversation on creating sub plans with Screencastify. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.